Have you ever woken up with your neck feeling like it was pulled by an invisible string? Every time you turn your head, it's like something was holding you back all night. That morning, my father sat quietly at the table, his hand rested behind his neck. Eyes tired, but calm. No complaint, no fuss, just a gentle sigh. And then he said, "I don't know why, but lately I keep waking up with my neck tight, like a guitar string." I watched him slowly lift his shoulders, then tilt his head side to side as if checking to see if his body still moved the way it should. On his bed, there it was, a big high pillow, soft, like a cloud. He used to believe that a tall pillow would support his neck, that it would stop the soreness. But now, I wonder, could that soft fluffy pillow be the very thing that's bending his neck each night? Could that comfort be just a trick hiding the pain building up day after day? It all began with one small thing, a pillow, soft to the touch, but maybe not so gentle to the spine. And just like that, a misaligned sleep began, and quietly stayed for months. There are things the body doesn't say out loud. It just whispers morning after morning like a quiet reminder we try to ignore. In my father, it was his neck. It no longer turned the way it used to. Each morning I watched him try. He turned his head to the right, then stopped, a slight frown, then to the left, and paused again. The pain wasn't sharp, not the kind that makes you cry out. It was more like a cold wind slipping through an old roof, chilling, persistent, but never loud. He once said, "Maybe I'm just getting old. My neck and shoulders always feel sore these days." And honestly, we believed him, because isn't that what happens when we age? Aches come and go. We live with them. But this pain didn't go. It didn't grow worse, but it never left either. Day after day, month after month, it became a part of him. He started avoiding quick turns, drove slower, stopped checking his blind spots, and slowly, his whole way of moving changed. Then one night, I passed by his room and paused. He was sleeping, but something caught my eye. His pillow. It was too high, lifting his head, pushing his neck forward. It looked like his neck was being bent in the middle like a swan frozen mid-turn. I never questioned it before. That pillow had always been there, soft, familiar, trusted, but something felt wrong, so I searched, and I came across a spine specialist who said, pillows higher than 4 inches can push the neck too far forward. Over time, they strain the muscles, especially in older adults whose necks are less flexible. That sentence stayed with me. Over and over, I imagined it. The neck like a delicate bridge carrying pressure all through the night. Each hour, the pillow pressing down behind the neck, tightening blood flow, locking the muscles in place. And by morning, the only thing left was pain, not from age, not from weakness, but from a pillow that felt soft on the outside and silently did harm through the night. Like many things in aging life, my father didn't like to change what he was used to. That pillow, he had slept on it for nearly 10 years. It's soft, he'd say. It supports my neck just right. But one night, I stayed by his side a little longer than usual, just watching him sleep. He was lying on his side, breathing gently, lost in light dreams. And I saw it again. His neck bent downward, shoulder raised up, nape stretched tight like a string pulled too far. That image stayed with me, so I started watching more closely. Every morning he got up, and the pain was still there, quiet, predictable, like a note that kept playing. One morning I asked him, "Dad, does your neck hurt more when you wake up?" He smiled, gave that same soft shrug. "Yes, but I'm old now, son. Maybe that's just how it is." But something in me said, "No, this isn't just age. so I began to notice the difference. On the days he napped in the armchair, no pillow under his head, he moved more easily the next morning. No groan, no stiff hand behind his neck. That made me stop. Could the real problem be the thing he trusted the most? That familiar pillow, the one that felt so gentle. One night I placed my hand under his neck while he lay still, and I felt it. His neck wasn't resting, it was being pushed upward, like something was lifting his chin just a little too high. That moment was when it all made sense. The pain wasn't from growing old. It was from a small habit, a small comfort repeated every night until it became silent harm. That night, I walked into my father's room a little earlier than usual. There it was, the old pillow, sitting high like a small hill on the bed. I gently picked it up and replaced it with a lower pillow. Soft cotton cover, thin simple core. The kind I had read about, one that keeps the neck aligned with the spine, not lifted too high like the one Dad was used to. A few minutes later, he came in and paused at the door. He looked at the bed, then looked at me. "Where's the pillow?" he asked. I smiled and said gently, "Let's just try this for one night. If it doesn't feel right, I'll switch it back tomorrow." He didn't say yes or no, just sat on the bed, looked at the new pillow for a moment, then slowly laid down. I watched his neck settle, not bent, not lifted, just resting, the back of his neck flat and calm, and then I heard him let out a long, quiet breath. He didn't say anything, but that sound felt like something loosening, as if for the first time in weeks, his body didn't have to work so hard just to sleep. That night, I woke up once or twice, just to peek in, just to check. He wasn't tossing, wasn't shifting. His body stayed still, gentle, peaceful. No more searching for a better position, no more struggling to get comfortable. The room felt quiet, the kind of quiet that only comes when the body is finally at ease. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen. Dad was already there, back turned, making coffee. I asked softly, "How'd you sleep last night?" He didn't turn around, just smiled and said quietly, "My neck didn't go crack anymore. Just one small change, at just the right time. A lower pillow, a little patience, and a neck that could finally rest after so many days of quiet strain." The mornings after that weren't dramatic. No big shifts, no sudden miracles. But something had changed, quietly, gently. Dad no longer walked into the kitchen with his shoulders hunched or his hand rubbing the back of his neck. He walked slowly, but upright, more steady. His neck didn't tilt to one side anymore, like it used to, trying to stretch out that leftover tightness. He didn't say much, but at breakfast he sat straighter, no elbows resting on the table, no bracing himself like his body was trying to carry the weight of a sore neck. One morning I took the old pillow out to wash. Dad glanced at it and with a half smile said, "Maybe I should put this in a museum. My neck doesn't remember it anymore." I laughed softly and with real relief, because that simple line meant something more. He was starting to trust the change. After a week, something else happened. He started talking about his dreams. He never used to. He'd say, "Sleep isn't deep enough to dream." But now, he remembered them. He told me about one dream where he met an old friend, even remembered the friend's name. And I realized sleep had become more than just rest. It had become a space where his mind could drift again. A place soft enough to dream. We didn't talk much about the pillow after that, but both of us knew it wasn't just about the neck or the stiffness or even the sleep. It was about one small change, quiet and simple, that opened the door to gentler nights and softer mornings. For years, my father believed that a high pillow meant better support. It props the head up, he'd say, feels firm, helps the neck. But sleep, like a quiet river, only flows well when nothing blocks its path. And that tall, fluffy pillow, as soft as it seemed, wasn't helping. It was standing in the way. I came across something written by a health expert from the National Sleep Foundation. They said when the head is raised too high, the neck bends like a kinked water hose. Blood flow slows down. Nerves get squeezed and muscles stay tight. Through the night, that image stayed with me. A pillow that's too high might feel good for a moment, but hour after hour, it asks the neck to hold on, to stay tense, to carry weight it was never meant to. For older adults, the right pillow isn't thick, it's low, with just enough give to cradle the curve of the neck. The goal is simple, not to lift the head high, but to line everything up, head, neck, shoulders, in one calm, natural line. The neck is like a suspension bridge. If one side is pulled too high, the whole thing loses balance. That's why I told my father, a pillow doesn't need to be tall to help you feel safe. It just needs to be right so your body knows it can finally rest. And since then, every night has become a moment where his neck is no longer bent, no longer bracing, just released, relaxed, supported, at peace. Once we understood that the key was supporting the right spot, not lifting too high, my father and I tried something simple. We didn't buy expensive equipment, didn't make any big changes, just 3 small adjustments at home, each one quiet, but stabilizing. First, we changed the pillow, my father's old one. It was nearly 6 inches thick. He thought that firmness meant support. We switched it out for a thinner pillow just under 2 inches high. Soft cotton, still had a little bounce, but didn't push his neck up. If you don't have one like that, you can just fold a towel and place it gently under the nape. Here's a tip. Lie on your back and look up. If your chin isn't pressing into your chest and your neck isn't arching back, you're in the right position. Second, we added a towel under his shoulders. Older adults often have a slightly rounded upper back. So when you only support the head, the neck can get pulled backward. By sliding a thin towel under his shoulders, the line from head to spine stayed more natural. And in the morning, he didn't need to turn his head again and again just to loosen it. Third, we used a body pillow. When he sleeps on his side, I gave him a long pillow to hold. Hugging it helps keep the shoulders from falling forward. It keeps the neck from twisting in the night. It looks simple, but that body pillow became a quiet helper, holding his posture steady without him even thinking about it. And when we combined all 3 adjustments, he no longer woke up saying, "My neck feels like wood." Instead, he said it felt soft, as if for the first time in a long time. His neck had been on vacation all night. It's not just the pillow. It's also what happens before getting into bed that makes the difference. Because even if the posture is right, if the mind is still holding tension, the neck can stay tight without us even knowing. So I helped my father build a small nightly habit. Just 10 minutes. Gentle enough for him to enjoy. Simple enough so he wouldn't feel bothered. First, we dimmed the lights. At 8:30 every night, I turned off the bright white bulbs in his room and switched on a soft amber night lamp. No phone, no television, no harsh blue light. Just that golden glow quietly telling his body, it's time to wind down. And slowly, his nervous system began to listen. The neck, which often holds onto alertness, also began to let go. Second, we did a simple shoulder roll. I showed him a little movement. Stand tall, roll the shoulders 3 times forward, then 3 times back. After each roll, take a deep breath in and a long breath out. It only takes a minute, but it helps warm the neck, soften the shoulders, and release the tightness built up from a day of sitting reading or just carrying age. And third, one small sentence. Each night before lying down, my father writes one line on a piece of paper. Just one. Something like, I'm still healthy. I still have tomorrow morning. It's not a diary, not a task, just a moment to tell his heart. It's time to rest now, not time to worry. And when the mind softens, the body softens too. No hugging the pillow tight, no neck straining from hidden thoughts, just a quiet letting go. So sleep can come in naturally. One morning, I walked into the kitchen, and there he was, my father, making coffee with both hands. No rubbing his neck, no stiff tilt of the head, no staring up at the ceiling, waiting for the tightness to pass. I asked gently, "Not hurting today?" He smiled and said slowly, for the first time in months, "It feels like someone finally took their hand off the back of my neck." I stood there, just watching him move, pouring water, rolling his shoulders, breathing quietly. Everything about him was peaceful. Not long ago, that thick pillow was something he couldn't sleep without. It felt soft, comfortable, like it was helping. But each night, it was secretly lifting his neck, stopping his muscles from resting, holding back his blood flow. And every morning he'd wake with a tiredness he couldn't explain. No medicine, no fancy device, just a lower pillow soft enough to follow the curve of the neck. Just a few quiet habits before bed, a dim light, a shoulder roll, a thought of gratitude. And somehow, sleep came back. Not all at once, not loudly, just gently, right when it was invited. If you've ever woken up with a sore neck, a stiff nape, or felt like your whole head and shoulders were wrapped in tight rope, maybe it's not just age. Maybe it's your pillow. If every morning you have to sit still for a while, just to loosen your neck and breathe softer. If you've whispered to yourself, "Maybe I just slept wrong," and then gone right back to the same thing the next night, then tonight, try just one small change. Swap your tall pillow for a lower one. Lie down gently on your back or the side with your neck softly aligned. And before sleep, breathe in, breathe out, and let your neck go. You don't need to change your whole life, just one thing: the pillow and the honest support you give your body. I've seen my father turn his head without pain, seen him make tea, open the window, and stand still in the soft morning light like sleep had returned home to him. I don't know what will happen if you try this tonight, but if your neck feels lighter, if you wake up and forget it ever hurt, then come back here and tell me about your peaceful night.